Well, hi and welcome to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection since 1991. Thanks so much for joining us on this June 19th, Monday. Getting close to that solstice time when we get to see all of the seconds taken off the daylight hours. How about that for a positive note to start? Well, my name is Pete Cotter. I'm your host for today, and we got a great show. First, we'll have Representative John Petersburg with us to talk about the legislative session that was just finished. And then we're going to move on location to the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center of Minnesota, and Jessika Madison Kennedy will give us a report from there. As always, we do appreciate any input that you have on what we have here for shows, who might be needing some recognition, or maybe some events that need some publicity as well. So let us know about that. Contact Leanne at 390-5751, or you can shoot an email to owatonatoday@charter.net. So now let's take a quick break for some messages from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Representative John. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Brenda with the Mortgage Office of Brenda Bednar, aligned with American Mortgage and Equity Consultants, where closings feel right from the beginning. I'm a proud supporter of the Owatonna Today Show.
Hi, this is Nick Paler from Turtle Creek Nursery and Landscaping. Come see our wide variety of plants. Proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show.
Rose, why don't you start this?
Fine. Hello, my name is Heather Burke, and I play Rose Bryce.
And I'm Vidette Ostermeyer, and I play Sarah Straykosh in LTO's production of Funny Girl, directed by Linda Karnauskas and sponsored by Wenger Foundation.
Performances of Funny Girl will be held on Friday and Saturday, June 16th and 17th at 7:30 p.m., with a matinee on Sunday, June 18th at 2 p.m.
Oh, and again the following Thursday through Saturday, June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at 7:30 p.m., with another matinee on Sunday, June 25th
Hurry
at 2
up.
p.m.
Tickets are available at the LTO box office by calling 451-0764 or online at littletheaterofowatonna.org.
Don't miss LTO's production of Funny Girl.
You should see it. My daughter Fanny says she's wonderful.
Oh.
She's absolutely stunning.
At least mine is married.
Well, she's gonna get.
And welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection, and a big welcome to Representative John Petersburg.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you. Yeah, nice to see you.
Appreciate it. It's always nice to be here and to talk with you and others here at Today Show.
Yeah, well, I have a high interest in public service, as you might expect, and so we want to get to some of the important parts of what happened up in St. Paul these last months, and briefly, an overview. What would you consider some of the high points of what happened?
Sure, and I thought this year, and I've got a couple of notes just to make sure I don't miss anything, because I think this time it was as productive a session as I've been involved in the last 3 sessions. We got everything finished. We got all of the bills passed and signed into law, and we have some really good things that I think are going to benefit voters here in Minnesota as well as in this particular area. The tax bill, which is probably the one that had the most dollars spent of the surplus, was the most controversial with the governor, but it had actually the highest level of participation of both parties, bipartisan support, with I think about 100 votes in the House to pass the bill. Part of the things that really impacted are we're starting to phase out the income tax on Social Security benefits. We put in some tax rebates, or actually a paying down of taxes for farmers in long-term facility bonds for school districts. So that's helpful because it was very aggressive to farmers prior to that. We had commercial property tax. We actually increased the base from $50,000 to $100,000 before local businesses started paying property tax, which is a big deal for local businesses because your small town, downtown streets, commercial retail, et cetera, we're paying those high costs, and that makes a difference.
It seems, though, if I might, that when we start, it's kind of tax reform in a way, isn't it? So,
absolutely.
It seems like everybody gets to take a bite of the apple once in a while. So, that means that maybe the residential payers might have to pay more, and perhaps industrial payers might have to pay more.
Well, in this particular case, the state is actually reimbursing back the counties, so it doesn't impact what will have to be collected by others. And it also, as you know, property values keep increasing, so there is an automatic increase in those values as well, which increases the taxes anyway.
Sure.
So it's just a way of trying to help businesses actually generate a lot of the economy in local communities to keep them healthy and active, and we think that's very positive. Part of the other piece that in the tax bill had to do with family credits for child care, and child care is one of the more expensive costs for any young family. Matter of fact, Minnesota has one of the highest costs in child care, so that will actually help, and I think the average person will get close to $1,000 a year in tax rebates or refunds available. So I think that was a very positive piece. We're still struggling with the healthcare issue. The healthcare is just really ballooning. This year we looked at what the cost was going to be for this biennium, and it was going to raise 20% without any kind of reform at all. 20%, and that doesn't include the premium increases that the individual payers were having. And so one of the things that we did started off the year with, we provided a 25% reduction in premiums for those that had to provide their own personal private insurance because they were getting over $3,000 a month in premiums plus a high deductible. And so this really thought would help for this year until we get something else corrected. And so it's a one-year deal. Then the second bill we worked on had to do with co-insurance and reinsurance, which allows for companies to have the state pay for and help pay for from $50,000 to $250,000 bills for health insurance. And it's very much similar to what we used to do with MNCHA, which was a program for catastrophic and pre-existing condition stuff, in which it allows insurance companies to distribute some of that risk. And I think that was a positive piece. And then, the reforms that we did get involved in regards to health insurance, we think will have a positive impact next year. And we brought down the cost from 20% down to 16%, which was very much a positive piece.
How much of what we do here, in that case, we have if something is potentially modelable, moving it up a notch to, and we have all this, divisive conversation about healthcare nationally, and we seem to sometimes get things pretty well right here in Minnesota. Is this possibly one of them? Oh,
absolutely. As you can remember back prior to the Affordable Care Act, Minnesota was already the leader in healthcare. One of our programs, MnCare, was being modeled all throughout the United States, and it was one of the best in the country. We actually had lower than average non-participants in healthcare, and that really hasn't changed with the Affordable Care Act. Only thing is we've just increased our costs. Okay. So we have to be real careful about that. Right. Some of the other things that we did this year, we did pass Real ID bill, and so that will be starting to take effect as the Department of Public Safety gets ready for their licensing program, et cetera. A couple of things that I want to mention before we run out of time, because I know we're always short on time, is some of the things that are going to impact locally here. So in Waseca, we were able to, I was able to get through the legacy bill, $50,000 for the Veterans Memorial that Waseca County has been struggling with to finish their paying and raising the funds of. So I think that'll be helpful. Also, Tink Larson Field, that burned down a few years ago, they've been needing some dollars to help rebuild that stadium, which was really a showcase for the entire southern Minnesota. So the bonding bill has $375,000 for that. In Owatonna here, the new power plant, we were able to get through the tax bill elimination of the property tax, personal property tax for that, so that the local ratepayers won't pay as much for that. And then in regards to transportation, which is my pet projects, I was able to get in the final bill $25 million a year of cash into the corridors of commerce, which will help Highway 14. Sure. And why it needed to be cash is because the program requires land acquisition as well as engineering and others A land acquisition and engineering cannot be done with bonding dollars. It has to come from cash or the general budget. And so by infusing this cash from now and into the future, it allow projects to become more and more shovel ready. So when the bonding dollars become available, both from the federal government as well as the state, they can move forward. And so I hope with this $25 million that the commissioner will allow that to come down to this district and help us finish off all the land acquisition engineering for the next phase of Highway 14. And I'm hoping the $300 million that we put in over the next 2 years in corridors of commerce can also be brought down to us into this district for Highway 14. We really need to get that finished after 50 years. It's probably time. Unfortunately, these spots like this are scattered throughout the state, and there's a lot of them out there, and we need to help the department determine how they are going to decide which projects are being done in a way in which we get them actually all done.
Interestingly enough, with the department of District 6 here is that, whatever is going to happen with Highway 14, they've already started working on that. It has to be some years in advance of the actual, when you start talking shovel ready. There's quite a bit of engineering and other things that need to take place before that. So the money will...
Absolutely. I don't think any project of that magnitude can, even at the quickest speed possible, would take close to 3 years or more to get done. So we try to do that as well. Education, I think, is also another hot topic that people want to hear about. And we were able to get on the formula 2% each year for salaries and curriculum development and so forth. And we're also able to add some more dollars for pre-K investment into targeting actually those individuals that actually need help in regards to their skill levels as well as achievement gaps. So we think that there's a lot of positive things there. A lot more we could get into, but I know we're starting to run out of time.
Yeah. So let's talk about you've come home. You're in convertible season now.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
We're in parade season and fair season.
Right. So and all of that is it's exposure, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, the reality of it is right.
It is. Well, a lot of people don't know who I am, and I don't know who they are, and so it's important for us to communicate and see what's going on.
Sure. So you've been already to 1 or 2 parades, and
yes,
a couple more, a few more to go.
Yes, this past weekend we had Morristown and Janesville, and by the way, the Wenger Marching Band Classic. They were really great too. All those bands out there, that were fun.
Yeah. Are you up for re-election this coming fall?
No, next year.
Next year.
It'll be campaign season on top of everything next year.
Yeah. So. Okay. So all in all, you believe that what we got, we as citizens, we should give at least a thumb up to the legislature completely.
Well, I think that you should at least look at all the bills that are done. I think this year we had as much bipartisan support and work together, and even the governor at the last end really worked well with his commissioners getting us forward to all of the stuff that impacts the state. So I think that was great.
Good. Well, I'm happy for that and happy for you to be here to tell us about all of that. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to next time. Have a good summer.
Will do.
And we thank you for being with us today. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back to go up to the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center on location. Stay with us.
The River Springs Water Park at 3065 St. Paul Road is open for the summer. Come with family and friends to enjoy the many features the water park has to offer. Open swim hours are listed on the screen. For more information on daily specials, programs, and large group packages, visit our website, call the water park at 774-7370, or find them on the River Springs Water Park Facebook page. Make a big splash this summer at the River Springs Water Park.
I'm Dan Branstead of Carlson Branstead & Company, Certified Public Accountants. We support the Owatonna Today Show.
Hello, my name is Katie Marshall. A year ago, my family and I became homeless. We were scared and alone. Today, with the help of Steele County Transitional Housing and generous donors like you, my family and I are safely housed. I am working, going to college, paying my rent on time. My children have a warm bed to sleep in every night. My family and I are so grateful for this second chance. Please help others in need by donating to transitional housing today. Everyone deserves a safe place to live.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection. I am in a backyard aviary of a woman who actually rehabilitates wild birds, and I would like to introduce you to Jessika Madison Kennedy. Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Welcome to the Owatonna Today Show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. Now, the bird that I was just focusing on is a female ruby-throated hummingbird, and she's actually a bird that I and my husband are connected with because she flew into our front window and had a rather bad collision, and we took care of her for a little while, but knew that her injuries were more than what we could handle. So we brought her up to the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center of Minnesota in Roseville. And you are connected with that rehab center. Tell us what you do there.
So I manage the avian nursery along with another manager, and then we also have a mammal nursery and a waterfowl nursery. So what I do is I basically work with the injured and orphaned songbirds, as well as some of the more difficult to care for adult species, such as ruby-throated hummingbirds.
Okay, and all of these birds are brought into you by people of the public, are they not?
Yes, we don't go out and get animals or find animals. Instead, we're a resource for people who are just out encountering wildlife in trouble.
Mm-hmm. All right. So tell us how the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center of Minnesota got started.
It began in 1979 by a small group of vet students at the University of Minnesota, and over the years it grew into a nonprofit organization, and we're now an independent organization. We still collaborate with them on occasion, but we're completely independent, and we have a facility in Roseville as well as a satellite facility in Inver Grove Heights.
Oh, okay. All right. So what should people do if they find a wild animal in distress? Because I should say the rehab center not only takes birds, but takes other wild animals as well.
Yes. We always encourage the finder to first and foremost call us, because a lot of times the animal isn't actually in trouble, or there's something simple you can do to keep it in the wild to help it. So a lot of times a young animal isn't orphaned or isn't actually in trouble, and in that case we like to keep it where it belongs, out in the wild.
Exactly.
So if in doubt, call us. The one instance where we would say just bring the animal in is if it's clearly injured or if it's had contact with cats or dogs. So if it was in a cat's mouth or in a dog's mouth, we think it's usually a good idea to just bring it right to us. However, calling us first is best.
Okay. So sometimes people think, for instance, birds are in a distress situation, but that's not necessarily the case. What would those situations be when it's not in distress?
One of the most common things we see are robins, who are brought to us once they've fledged, because they spend a lot of time on the ground and they're awkward. The first couple hours or day out in the wild can be really kind of, difficult to watch as a bystander, because they're learning how to be a robin, they're on the ground, they're vulnerable, and they're also easy to catch. So a lot of times people accidentally rescue a robin that doesn't need rescuing.
So what should they do in that case? Just watch the bird for a while?
Yeah, watch the bird, observe to make sure that it's being cared for by its parents if it's a young bird. If you can, keep cats and dogs and children away from the animal so that the parents can feed it safely. And, just keep an eye on it. If it's being fed by the parents, chances are it's just fine.
Okay.
If you observe a droopy wing or some sort of injury, call us at the Wildlife Center and we'll help you figure out what to do.
Okay. So that's really the best thing to do.
Yes.
Don't necessarily assume that the animal or bird has been abandoned.
Right.
Because parents do not always stay with their fledglings, or like in the case of a little rabbit or squirrels or whatever. The parents are not always there.
Right. Baby bunnies are a common one. The mom leaves the nest for a long length of time during the day. So if you find a bunny nest that you think is abandoned, it may not be. If you're concerned, call us and we'll talk you through how to keep an eye out for her and how to make that determination whether they need intervention or whether they're just fine.
Okay, all right. I'm going to zoom back in on this little Hummer here, the one that we actually ended up rescuing. Tell us what treatments you gave to this female hummingbird to get her back on her feet, so to speak, on her wings, so to speak.
Sure. So the first thing we do is give them quiet because, being in captivity is very stressful for a little bird like this who, as far as she's concerned, we may be a predator. So we keep her in a quiet situation. We make sure she's warm. We also give her food. Hummingbirds have a high metabolism, and as you know, they need to eat quite a lot. So we feed them, and then our vet staff will assess her. Because we knew she hit a window, it was assumed that she had some element of head trauma. A lot of times we'll give them a painkiller or an anti-inflammatory medicine in that case. And, we'll just observe them and give them the right situation to recover.
Okay. And in this situation, this lovely young lady has been rehabilitated, and you will very shortly be releasing her back into the wild, which is absolutely amazing.
Yes. So when it's an adult bird like this one, we make sure to release them in the habitat that they were found. So we get them to the actual location that their injury or their situation happened. So they're in their own territory. They know where to find food. They know the area, and they can, get back into life again once they're back.
Wow, that's great. That's great. You were telling me right before we started filming, you had a rather unusual bird that you took care of that was not native to this part of the United States. Tell us about that one. I think it's wonderful.
Right. So some Minnesotan residents were spending the winter in Arizona, and they were coming back to Minnesota in the spring and found a bird's nest on the hitch of their trailer in Oklahoma when they were fueling up their RV.
Oh, no.
They brought the bird back home and gave it to us at the Wildlife Center. It turned out to be a curved bill thrasher, not native to this area.
Not
so
at
it was
all.
very important to us to get it back into the location where it was found, and a volunteer flew it back and released it in the right habitat, in the right state.
In the right state.
We encourage people to always keep things where they belong. So we would have loved for that bird to get brought back that way and rehabilitated there. But, they didn't know, and we did what we could with the situation and got the bird back to where it belonged.
Okay. Now, on the day that my husband brought the bird up to your center, there was a young fawn that had been brought in. What would the Rehabilitation Center do with that particular animal?
Well, I don't know that specific animal's situation, but we would have assessed it, and if it could be reunited with the mother, if it was an accidental rescue, we would certainly do that. Otherwise, we would get it into care and, take care of whatever needed to happen.
Okay. About how many animals a year, approximately, does the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center of Minnesota receive?
Every year it grows.
I bet.
We can have over 10,000 patients a year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's an incredible number, and we rely so much on our volunteers. They're the ones that really keep us ticking over.
Oh, that's true. How many volunteers do you have approximately?
We have, it's hard to say, it varies throughout the season, but I know in my avian nursery, for example, we have about 30 people a day that come in, and all they do is take care and feed the orphaned and injured songbirds.
Oh, that's wonderful. And hopefully you have a wonderful success rate too, depending on the bird's injury.
Right. They're already compromised when they come to us, but we give them everything possible to get them back into the wild. That's always our goal.
Right. Now, the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center of Minnesota actually relies on donations, does it not, to keep doing its wonderful work of rehabilitating all sorts of wildlife and then returning them back out into the wild. How is one able to make a donation?
Right, so you can call us, or you can go to our website, wrcmn.org, and it's very easy to make a donation online, or call us. The number and all our information is there, and you can get involved and help us out. We don't get any federal or state funding, so it's people, just regular people, that keep us functioning.
And that's right. And I'm going to zoom back in on the hummingbird again. She's just so wonderfully active, and yes, you will soon be returned to the wild. And thank you so much, Jessika, for joining us here on the Owatonna Today Show. I have the contact information for the Rehabilitation Center on the screen, and I urge everyone to consider a donation to this worthwhile cause. They help our fine feathered and furry friends that are indigenous to the state of Minnesota.
So, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And audience, please stay with us. We will be right back after a word from our sponsors. Great.
Amy Swain Hearing Centers is a proud sponsor of the Owatonna Today Show. I'm Dr. Amy Swain, and I want everyone to hear better.
Hi, this is Barry Gillespie, president of ERA Gillespie Real Estate, where our pledge is to save you money, save you time, and simplify your life. And we're proud supporters of the Owatonna Today Show.
Welcome back to the Owatonna Today Show, your community connection. We've got some community announcements for you at this time. On Wednesday, June 21st, join us at Riverbend Nature Center for our monthly OWLS, O-W-L-S program. Guest speaker Robin Trott, horticulturist and extension educator, will share tips to extending your garden's life by planting species that bloom at night. The program takes place from 12 until 2 in Riverbend's Interpretive Center. Pre-registration is required by Tuesday, June 20th. Cost is $12 per person, $10 for Riverbend members. More information can be gotten at 507-332-7151. Funny Girl, the musical, June 22nd and 24th at 7:30 p.m. June 25th at 2 p.m. right at the Little Theater of Owatonna. Box office is open, will be open, as it has been open, so contact them for tickets. Penny George Institute for Health and Healing at the Owatonna Hospital has expanded its retail services by adding healing touch and wellness coaching. To learn more about the programs and services at Owatonna Hospital's Penny George Institute Outpatient Clinic, visit alinahealth.org, or to make an appointment, call 507-977-2828. Brooktree Golf Course has Wine, Women, and Golf for the very beginner and non-golfer. So we have that coming up on the 15th from 2 to 3:30. That's Saturday, and then Saturday on the 15th of July. By the way, I'm getting it all mixed up here. Saturday, July 15th, 2 to 3:30. Saturday, July 15th from 3:30 to 5. And Wednesday, July 26th from 3 to 4:30. Fee is $15. Gives you 3 holes of golf, a helper to answer questions, and a glass of wine. It's going to take care of it for today. We're going to come back on Wednesday when we will have Habitat for Humanity, groundbreaking, and we'll have Dessa Chambers. Have a good couple of days. We'll look forward to seeing you back here on Wednesday.